Welcome to 600 Seconds in HRTech. I'm Dani Johnson. I'm here at Learning Technologies Conference in the OpenSesame booth. Thank you so much for being with us today. Can you introduce yourself and then maybe tell us one of the conversations you're hearing that you didn't expect to hear?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, my name is Mehdi. I manage our EMEA and APAC operations here at OpenSesame, based out of our London office. I think the interesting thing this year is AI was on every single booth, and there was a strong emphasis on AI. And I think that now there's almost a track back to, hold on, the AI buzz is out. Doesn't mean that AI is no longer there, but there's a refocus around impact and results.
Impact and results rather than like this is the tech we have or this is the tech that we're using.
Yeah, you still have a few booths that are highlighting AI. I mean, usually just behind us, like AI left, right, and center. But I think there's a realization that it's not just about AI.
Do you think that's the technology's marketing, or do you think it's the conversations that you're having with organizations looking for something different?
So I think unlike any other technological revolution we've seen before, this is really changing a lot of things. But then there's a realization that investing too much in the tech and not really realizing how do we prep our people for the tech, and how do we look at the bottom line, which is how do we change behavior, how do we impact the business and create productivity. That should be the conversation that's been missing, at least for the past 18 months or so.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about something that's specific to OpenSesame, which is content.
Yes.
You have some really good content. In the last little while, I've been hearing maybe two schools of thought. One of them is that content is going to become super important, and the other one is that content is going to become ubiquitous. Where do you stand on that?
That's a bit of both, if I have to be honest. I think what's happening is probably the fact that now anyone can use an LLM and create their own content is going to highlight the need for real quality content.
Okay.
That from that standpoint, at OpenSesame is great, because it's always been our positioning. It is not about content, it is about the quality of the content and having verifiable sources at the content. So that's great. At the same time, it is not just about content. It is really a blended approach to how you support your people. I'm sadly old enough, I know you wouldn't say like that looking at me, but to remember when e-learning came about and we thought, oh, that's it. We just put e-learning and all of a sudden people are going to be trained, and only to realize that's not what's happening. So it takes more. And I think the same thing is happening here. So there's going to be a natural, filtration through better content by default, which is a good thing. But at the same time, just better content is not the answer.
Okay, so I think that's interesting. I think I'm seeing the same thing. Like content right now is like it's ubiquitous. But I'm also seeing organizations they're saying that content is going to be a differentiator in the future. Like content specific to the organization or content curated specifically for the organization is going to become much more important than it is right now. So I think we're probably like a year out. I don't know, but I'm excited to see kind of what happens in that space.
Yeah, and then you're spot on here, Dani, because I think there's almost threefold. You're right that yes, better content. So the quality of the content is going to be paramount. More personalized content and more contextual content. So I think it's that combination of those three elements that is going to drive that qualitative approach towards content.
Let's talk for a second about how it's delivered.
Yes.
So traditionally, content has been delivered through courses.
Yes.
I think that kind of based on what I'm seeing in the research, that course is no longer maybe the default for how we deliver content. You all have talked about your 60,000 courses and how we might be delivering them differently through an MCP and right into LLMs. Can you talk a little bit about kind of your vision for what that looks like?
Yeah, I think it goes back to how do people learn, and trying to meet the learner at the point of need and how they want to deliver it. And the reality is that everyone is using LLMs now, and that convenience of being able to have what you need distilled to the level you want it. I'm going to say the flow of work, but I feel it's been so overused that it's not necessarily fair to it. But as and when I need it is going to be essential. And what that means is when we look at our library, the traditional delivery method of having a whole course delivered through an LMS or an LXP is not as relevant.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have things like MCP servers that not only allow you to be able to filter and get it delivered in the flow of work, but I think we will see probably more of a modular approach to traditional courses in actually being multiple learning nuggets, and that being distilled within a path or a framework that makes it far more relevant to me as a learner as I need it.
Interesting. I'm also wondering if it even goes a step further than that. We're not just talking about sort of bite-sized pieces that I can absorb wherever I am, but it's built into the workflows that we have. And so content now provides context rather than information to help you do your work in the sort of environment or the climate that the organization wants you to do it in.
Yeah, and that's why like having things like MCP like makes it so much more relevant, because there's that contextual aspect that was probably missed in the LMS framework. And like the learning engine being able to learn from my previous experiences and what I've done to make it far more relevant and pertinent to my needs.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk a minute about AI, because we got it. I'm super curious about how your organization is thinking in terms of AI. So right now, there's a big question: do we just offer it for free? Do we offer our AI tools for free, or do we charge for them? That seems to be the conversation. I see a point in the very near future where it's going to be unsustainable to offer them for free, and it might even be unsustainable to offer them for like a per seat cost. So I'm wondering how you all are thinking about sort of the ongoing variable cost of AI in whatever you're planning next.
So that's a great question, and I think like everyone else, there's still a big question mark around it. So our approach for the moment is to like just have it embedded in what we offer. There's no, as we've always had a very transparent like pricing approach where everything is included. There's no extra. Where you're right is that might not be sustainable, and one of two things can happen. One is that people will have to probably source budget elsewhere, because the more you embed, the more people would have to feel, okay, so if I'm not having that cost anymore, maybe I can redistribute some of that. Or there's going to be a real premium because of like the level of quality of what you're getting. But it's last night we had a lovely dinner with some customers, and I think the same thing. You can go out to dinner to like fast food, or you can go out to dinner to like a Michelin star restaurant, and the experience and the quality of the ingredients you have, that's what makes it memorable. That's what will create the impact. Okay. So bottom line is, what do you want?
Yeah, I think you're right, though. We are going to start paying for quality in ways that maybe we're not right now. I'm interested in the fact that OpenSesame maintains a human curation tier. So a lot of organizations are dipping into AI to curate. Talk to me about why that decision was made and why you think it continues to be important.
Because I think at the end of the day, like, we're here to like serve people. Like, our business is about people, helping people better themselves. And we have great tools, but AI is a tool, and you need that human supervision, you need that human oversight. And I know we just talked about context, but I think that humans add a contextual dimension that AI does not. So for us, it remains the augmentation of people's skills, having the human in the driving seat and the AI as the tool. And I don't think that's part of our DNA, which strongly believe that that's how you drive better outcomes. It's by putting the human in the driving seat, not the technology in the driving seat. Yeah. And then on that note, actually, I think I had a very interesting conversation yesterday about, I think as a species almost, there's a tendency to like delegate to AI, and we're seeing that a lot. I think Mark Sanders published that study last year saying the 10 top usages of AI, and companionship is amongst the top like usages.
Yeah, isn't that sad?
So really pushing your power, your critical thinking as a human to the AI, I think there's a real danger there. And so I think for us, it's important that we keep that human oversight and not humans in the driver's seat.
I like that point. I also think you all are known for your customer service. I think this year, one of the themes that have stuck out to me is we're not selling technology, we're selling a solution.
Yes.
If you're selling technology, curation with AI is fine. If you're selling a solution, you want somebody there to sort of help you from beginning to end and make sure that you actually get it right. Right. And that actually leads into the very last question, solution versus tech. How are you seeing in the things that you've seen here, and also how are you all thinking about providing a solution versus selling a tech solution?
Well, I was going to say, if you look at the market recently, you have the answer.
Right.
We're seeing more and more consolidation, because I think tech on top of tech does not equals impact, or the outcome is not better results.
Yeah.
So it has to be about solution. You have to figure out a solution. In our case, we believe that the solution is human augmented by the tech. I think if you're purely in the tech business in the learning industry, you might have missed something there, because it has its limitation. I'm not saying it's not happening, and the investments in AI have been considerable recently, but I think now there's a true realization that, whoa, hold on. If we invest in tech and there's more tech, but we're not looking at how people are actually using this tech and how it's helping them, then we might have missed something. So I'm very adamant on that one.
You fit in perfectly with OpenSesame then. It's your DNA. Hey, thanks so much for being with me.
No, thanks a million, Dani. A real pleasure.
Hey, I just reviewed the video that I did with Mehdi from OpenSesame, and it was really interesting. He is one of the few vendors that I talked to that focuses pretty heavily on content. And so I was interested to see how he's seeing the space and what things they're struggling with or what things they see as competitive advantages right now. And basically 3 things came to mind. The first one is we had a really interesting discussion on the content quality reckoning. There has been sort of a decrease in the importance of content. We've seen it sort of across the board because content is ubiquitous, because of the LLMs and because it's so easy to create content. It's not really that interesting right now. But what I think is interesting is that I have been talking to leaders. And one of the things that they mention is, while that might be true right now, they're more and more interested in the context surrounding the content. So just who's ever content out there on how to be a good leader is less important to them than helping people understand what leadership means in our particular organization, or there's context around some of the safety issues or some of the things that are specific to organizations. And so while I think content may not be super important right now, I think it's going to become more important, and that contextual piece is a really big part of it. The second thing that we talked about that I'm seeing everywhere and have been saying for a while is that the course is kind of losing its status. So for a really long time, it's been the building block of learning. But increasingly, I'm seeing in these tech solutions, including OpenSesame, we're thinking differently about what content means and how we get that content out. Specifically, OpenSesame talks about opening up its 60,000 courses, delivering them in different ways, maybe directly into LLMs through MCP servers. And so the way that content has been delivered and the way that it will be delivered in the future is very different than that course that we've been stuck with for the last, 150 years. The final thing that struck me about this conversation is this idea of curation. More and more, we're seeing vendors use AI to help with curation, to deliver the right things to the right people at the right time. And that definitely has its benefits. OpenSesame is a little bit different in that they keep a really big team of curators, and those curators help the organizations that they serve understand the content and what is going to be right for the particular needs that those organizations have. I think this is interesting. It could be seen as sort of a throwback or not moving forward with the times, but in the context of the conversation we had earlier, which was all about context, sometimes humans are able to identify things that we just don't have the data for, that for AI to help us do those things. And so I think it's interesting that they maintain that, and that they're really big on customer service and relationships in a world where really we're spending lots of time trying to figure out how to get AI to do some of the human types of things. Those are the 3 big points that stood out to me from this particular conversation. If you like this type of content, please let your friends know, and please follow us on LinkedIn or wherever you get your podcasts.